Hey guys, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another day in the life vlog. For people who don't know me, my name is Bhavin and I'm a financial professional living in the beautiful city of Toronto, and I would like you to join me in my journey to be more productive during this quarantine, especially on the weekend. And usually my day starts at around 7-8 o'clock, but since today is a Saturday, I start my day at about 9-9:30, and then I lay in bed like a complete waste man. I'm scrolling through YouTube comments and watching YouTube videos and just being a slob. And by the time it's 10:30, I decide it's finally late and I have to get up. And today's first order of business is I have to reach FedEx and drop off these parcels that are lying on my table. So after brushing and doing my morning routine, I get into a pair of somewhat fresh clothes, pack my bag, get my key, and get ready to head out to FedEx. Once I have everything that I need, before I leave, just like any responsible person would do during this quarantine, put on a pair of gloves and wear a mask before I head out and go into the world. I live really close to a TTC subway stop, which is why I reach my stop in like 3 or 4 minutes. And as you can see, there's not many people, which is also a good thing. Everyone's following social distancing. And by the time I reach the subway stop, my bus is arriving right behind me, so no wasting time there. But to my surprise, the FedEx location that was showing that's open right now wasn't open, and I had to wait for another bus to go to a FedEx which is even further away. But once again, I was happy to report that there was social distancing going on even inside the bus, as you can see right now. By this point, it is already 12 in the afternoon when I reach FedEx finally, and this is like a big location, so this was 100% open and they had a long lineup. Once again, I was happy to notice that everyone was following social distancing. It took me less than 2 minutes to drop off my parcel, and I start heading out to my next location, which is a grocery store. I just have to do the groceries for the week so that I have enough stuff to last for the week for lunch and for breakfast. I don't really have a preference for any grocery stores, but this Food Basics was right besides the FedEx, so I decided to go there, where once again there was limited number of people inside the store and social distancing was equally followed. This is where I spent about half an hour, 45 minutes trying to decide what to buy and what I need, and I spent an awful lot of time in the coffee aisle, even though I have coffee at home. And once again, you can see me spending so much time in like the snacks area, but I eventually come to my senses and pick up what I need, and then I wait for my turn at the checkout line. By the time I come home, it's already 2:30, and I decided that I need some time to relax and take a short break from my productive day. So I lay on the couch like a slob and start browsing Reddit and watching YouTube videos and just wasting time on social media. This is when I realized I also have to discuss about the scripting for today's podcast recording with my fiance. So I give her a quick video call and talk to her because she's in Boston, and we discuss over the episode that we are going to record today for our podcast. For those of you who don't know, I did recently launch a podcast with my fiance, which is all about long distance relationships and relationships in general. If you're interested in that kind of thing, please search us on Apple Podcast or Spotify or wherever you listen to your podcast. Search for the LDR show and do give it a listen and let us know what do you think about our podcast. And then at about 2:30ish in the afternoon, I decide that I am hungry before I go ahead and start my productive day. So I go to the fridge and see if we have any leftover from last night, and I was happy to see that we do have some rice and some dal in there, which is what I decide to eat. I empty the food in a bowl and a plate and throw it into the microwave because I'm a civilized person like that, and once the food is heated up, I go up to my dining table and open all the blinds for the windows to let the beautiful summer light come in, and I'm listening to some soft music on Spotify while I have my beautiful lunch. And it is really started to get beautiful here in Toronto because summer is just around the corner, and this is how I'm going to have my lunch, I think, going forward, since I won't be going to the office anytime soon. While having lunch, I also noticed outside in the park that is adjacent to our house, we have a small family having a nice picnic with their cat, which was just nice to see. The next order of business before I continue with my productive day is a quick trip to the fridge again, because I noticed we have cake in the fridge from last night as well. I quickly take the cake out, take a quick bite, and just like a sneaky little rat, I put the cake back in the fridge so that nobody knows I even had a piece of cake. Fantastic. At about 4 p.m. as discussed, We start the video call to start doing the podcast, but before I begin the podcast, we both write down quick snippets or notes about what we are going to talk about so that we have a good flow in the podcast. I just use like a random piece of paper lying around on my desk to write quick points that I will be talking about in the podcast, and so that it becomes easier for me to edit in the post. And once all the podcast writing is done, just a quick snapshot, I discuss with my fiance that everything is a-okay and we begin recording. We use Zoom to do our podcast because Zoom is the only application I found that records the audio from your physical device. So my audio is recorded from my mic and her audio is recorded from her mic instead of using the internet audio, which is kind of choppy sometimes. So we decided to go with Zoom, even though it's not one of the greatest applications in terms of privacy. But for here, it's serving a purpose, and we talk about the podcast for about 2.5 hours before I take a quick break and then come back. And I was trying to figure out my day, but then I realized I need a quick break now, and I start having some unhealthy snacks from India. Kurkure is absolutely my favorite, and then I waste some more time watching Linus fix his server room in his house for some reason. I don't know why this was so interesting, but I watched the whole video and went down the rabbit hole of watching more videos on YouTube while having that unhealthy snack. Just before the clock hits 7:30, I start feeling a little bit guilty about just sitting on this chair the whole day and having unhealthy snacks. I decided that I'll do some quick exercise, get up from the chair and stop being a slob. So I just walk up outside the room and do a quick push-up session and a quick crunches session. Nothing too fancy, but a small step in achieving my dream of becoming a buff person with all the nice muscles and someone who goes to the gym every day. Just a small step. We'll reach there eventually. It is about 8 o'clock now, and I decided to import the footage for the specific day and start editing whatever footage I had from the remaining day. And once again, I start eating that unhealthy snack because I'm kind of hungry, and I finish editing. And by the time it's 9 o'clock, everyone's already down there having dinner. So I join my lads and start having dinner while we watch some Netflix and some series on Netflix, which is quite fun, honestly. After the dinner session is done, we just hang around and chit chat while we wash dishes, and we just sit around and have fun. And one of my roommate decides to be a funny little guy and come in front of the camera, which was quite nice. The fun and banter continues to about midnight, which is when we decide to go to sleep. And I follow my usual routine before I go to sleep is I open up my calendar app and I organize the next day using the time boxing or the time blocking method. And once I'm happy with my day, I actually call it a night and I head off to sleep. The next morning, I wake up a little bit over the time I was supposed to wake up, but I then continue to do my morning business. And while I'm doing my morning business so as to not waste any time, I start writing the script for this specific video and give myself 2 thumbs up for being so much productive and getting everything done right away by stacking tasks on each other. The next order of business was just washing and drying clothes by putting them in the washer, but I forgot to hit record when I placed my camera, so that's why you're seeing a stock footage. And then I finally head out to go to my first destination outside today, which was the dollar store. I was happy to see that there was no lineup because usually the dollar store is lined up with a lot of people, and I managed to get a bunch of essential things but a lot of garbage. And after that I went to the Shoppers Drug Mart, which is where I had to get some eye drops because I've been spending a lot of time watching the screen and my eyes start paining. I do my regular checkout and send the receipt via mail to save paper. And that little maneuver cost me about an hour, after which I decide to go home and start cooking lunch for the week. I know, even though I'm working from home, I still like to follow my regular routine and I still meal prep. And there are 2 primary reasons why I still do meal prep apart from the million other things. One is it saves me a lot of time during the week, and the second thing, it saves me a lot of money. And this week's lunch is going to be garlic fried rice and sauteed vegetables with honey garlic tofu and some leftover from previous night. And at about 5 o'clock in the evening, I decided that I need to go and start editing this video and start editing the podcast that we just recorded. So I quickly pour in a French vanilla coffee for myself so that I can get out of the slump and start actually working. and I find that coffee really helps me do that. And this is the first time I've bought like a flavored coffee for French vanilla, and then I finish editing the video to publish this week while I'm sipping on my coffee and having my snacks. My editing session for the podcast and for video goes on until midnight, which is when I call it a night because tomorrow I have to wake up and go to work again. Thank you guys for tagging along and trying to be productive with me throughout this weekend. And if you guys like this kind of vlog, feel free to let me know in the comments section below, and don't forget to hit like and subscribe for more such videos. I'll see you guys next time.